Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I am your host, Nor Kyle.
And I am her loyal sidekick, Mushtaq Ali.
As always, thank God. So, thank you for joining us, whether you're here live or watching on the replay. We are so happy to have you here joining us. And of course, if you'd like to support our work, there are several ways you can do that. And the easiest of which is to make sure that if you like our work, you subscribe to our channel. If you like this video, give us a like on the video and leave a comment if you want to join in on the conversation we're having. Because I have a feeling this will be a good one, just like it was last week when we had our part one of tonight's discussion. So we'll talk more about that. But of course, if you'd like to do one-on-one sessions or two-on-one sessions to get personalized, quote unquote, personalized support, we can help you apply the things that we're talking about here in these talks to your personal journey, as it were, into being awake, into becoming a completed human being. These are the things that we're all striving to embody and embrace. And we would love to work as a team with you if that's something that would be helpful to you.
And if you ask anybody who's ever worked with us, they will tell you that we are more fun than a barrel of monkeys that found the key to the liquor cabinet.
Yes. Yeah, it's really lovely to have those one-on-one connections with people. So take a dive, take a leap. If you haven't been able to if you want to ask us questions, you can always send us an email and we will hook you up, so to speak. Otherwise, if you'd like to just, give us a donation and help us keep going with the work that we're doing already, that we're offering to the public for free as much as we can, we do have donation links below as well for both the PayPal and Stripe. And for those of you who continue to donate, thank you so much as always for helping us keep going in the work that we're doing together. Thank you. All right. Anything I missed? Shall we go on?
Let's go on.
Yeah, and there's t-shirts if you want them. I love to throw that in there sometimes. So, anyways, this topic this evening is a extension of the one we started last week when we had our morning talk. Again, we are not doing two talk Sundays at this point. We are going to have a morning talk every third Sunday to accommodate those who cannot join us at our usual time. And feel free to check in with us if you want confirmations on when those times and dates are. No worries, we'll clarify that for you. Um, Otherwise, yes, we were talking about Ibn Arabi and Gurdjieff and how it appears that these two figures started completely different paradigms, different ends of the spectrum of spiritual work, and somehow, as we discussed last week, we find that there is a beautiful way in which they meet right in the middle and really complement each other's methods and methodologies. So let's explore more about that. Mushtaq, what is the title of this talk tonight?
Ibn Arabi and Gurdjieff, two ends meeting in the middle, part two.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. So let's get started.
All right, let's get started. So, last week we left off with this idea of a sixfold process that each of these teachers follow that are quite reminiscent of each other. So Ibn Arabi, he talks about the initial state as uh, discovering yourself in the nafs al-amara, living in heedlessness, unaware of divine origin. Gurdjieff talks about the same exact state, but he uses the words waking sleep, mechanical man, made up of many eyes, lacking a permanent self. The convergence point in this is the recognition that ordinary life is unconscious and fragmented.
That's something
That
that we
is
agree on. Yeah.
that is really it hits the nail on the head. The first awakening, which Ibn Arabi calls tawbah, which means turning. It's the heart awakens through longing and a taste of God's nearness. And Gurdjieff talks about that as seeing the mechanical nature and the beginning of self-observation. When you do that, you get the same thing. You get this taste of, oh, there's something that I'm close to, but I'm not there yet. And I'm never there when I'm asleep, or I'm there when I'm asleep, but I don't notice it. So self-observation becomes essential. Um, and the convergence point, this is a moment of self-reflection, redirects the whole trajectory of life.
Yeah, self-reflection, self-recognition.
Yeah. And I would lay you dollars to donuts, as we used to say, that everybody here has had that little shock, that moment of going, WTF?
Yeah, that thing that made you search weird keywords on YouTube that helped you show up here.
Yeah. Anybody think about the moment that they realized that something was off? And was it more Gurdjieff or more Ibn Arabi?
I'd be interested in, if people are watching this on the replay, I'd be interested in hearing from those folks too when they get the
Yeah,
chance.
say something in the notes.
Yeah, in the
It'll even get
comments.
us to answer you.
James,
We're
what
so
what do you
good.
think? What's your recollection?
A little from column A, a little from column B, because I can remember even in my childhood moments when there would be kind of an immense calm and lucidity would descend. But then, and actually not just from my childhood, I've discussed with you other things that happened more intensely, but also scattered throughout is the realization, why am I doing this? A kind of, I'm on autopilot. Moments where I've definitely glimpsed, the opposite end of the spectrum that I'm just being a robot. I didn't always have those words for it, but so for me, that it's both scattered throughout and then falling back into a ostensibly comfortable or familiar sleep. I wouldn't say comfortable always.
Thank you, James. How about you, Ian?
Yeah, in my case, I would say it was before I came across um, Gurdjieff. I'd never about Ibn Arabi until you guys started talking about him recently, although I did come across Rumi earlier. But for me, I think it was when I decided to leave the church of my parents and start exploring different religions. And it was maybe 2 or 3 years later that I came across Rumis Mathnawi and Uspensky. And both of those are very interesting, should we say.
Definitely. Thank you, Ian. Hmm. So thank you for joining us, newcomer. I just want to reiterate the question, which was essentially, yeah, what was the moment of self-recognition that uh for many of us shook us so much that started us on a whole new trajectory? And in the context of this talk, in some cases, many people are going to say, oh, it was something related to Gurdjieff or Ouspensky. For others, it's going to be, oh, it was Ibn Arabi or something related to Sufism. I'll throw out there for myself, it was something related to Sufism, and then Gurdjieff and all that came later. So, yeah, that's me. And in the chat, yes, cool. Michael says, fourth step fourth column in AA for me. Found out who was responsible for the darkness in my life.
Ouch.
A revelation. Yeah. Hi. All right.
All right, let's look at the next. Mujahada, the inner struggle to purify the self, discipline the heart, balance the outer law and the inner truth. That's what Ibn Arabi calls it. And Gurdjieff calls it conscious labor and intentional suffering, or sometimes intentional labor and conscious suffering.
Since as we discussed last week, there's
Yeah,
some
Russian.
complexity there. Yeah.
Working against mechanical habits, balancing the centers. And this is where self-remembering begins to come in. And the convergent point in both of these is sustained voluntary effort to overcome inner fragmentation.
Yes. So for people who just dropped in, I just want to reiterate the convergence points we've covered so far. So we have first, the initial state, recognition that ordinary life is unconscious and fragmented. Second, this is the first awakening we go through where we're like, oh shit. A moment of self-recognition redirects the whole trajectory of life. And now we are talking about this third stage of struggle and discipline.
Tell us what that is.
Yeah, so the sustained voluntary effort to overcome inner fragmentation. So,
Then
yeah.
we get to the fourth, which is in Arabi's term, fana, annihilation of the ego self into God. Only the real is witnessed. And with Gurdjieff, it's the crystallization of the permanent I, unity of being. False multiple I's no longer dominate. And the convergence point is the inner unification and stability, freedom from automatic identification. And some people will go, well, how is annihilation any of this? Because it's annihilation. But when annihilation happens, when fana happens, it only lasts for a moment when the ego, when the reset button on the ego gets hit. And then God gives you a better one. And God makes up your new ego out of his attributes. And this doesn't happen just once. It actually, I'm pretty sure, happens multiple times before you get all the way through, but that's neither here nor there. This is the dissolution of the false self. 5 is the stable realization, which Ibn Arabi calls baqa, subsisting in God, manifesting divine names in balanced harmony.
This is
Now,
one that doesn't get talked about very often.
no, it doesn't get talked about enough. The divine names are the divine attributes. And we're going to get into that way more deeply later on this evening. But rather than having the rusty, crudded over human attributes that we all walk around with that have not been cleaned and polished in decades sometimes, you get a whole new mirror to reflect the divine attributes. And Gurdjieff called this objective consciousness, seeing reality without distortion, acting in alignment with universal laws. Basically the same thing. And the convergence point is continuous presence in higher reality, living truth in every act. And that brings us to 6, the role in the world. And according to Ibn Arabi, in various of his writings, which we will go over later, it is Qutb, the pole, the axis of the age, mediator between God and creation, sustaining cosmic balance. Now, people get confused about this because, according to the spiritual hierarchy, there is one Qutb at the top, and then there's all of the Abdals beneath him and all of this, and it goes out. But that's not what we're talking about. The axis is one who can reflect God's attributes back into the world, and who can do that consciously. Funny thing is, when it comes to like the Qutb and the Abdals and all of this, and Ibn ʿArabi was big on this stuff. And the thing is, if you were the Qutb, you probably would never know. Why would you need to?
That's the thing. Why would you need to? Because the focus is not on you.
Yeah,
You're acting in service.
The pole of the age has the job of channeling the divine presence into the world. And they don't do that by going, oh, I'm going to sit down and channel the divine presence into the world.
As
They
our
do
Shaykh
that
used to say,
by being who they are.
and getting out of their own way is what
Yeah.
I remember him saying. Yes.
And they, most of the time, according to one of our teachers, they never know. Nobody tells them. And if they did tell them, they would think that the person was stupid. And I know this for a fact because I once met the Qutb al-Zaman, and I said, "You're the Qutb." And he said, "You're stupid." So there you go.
The pole of the age.
Yes. So Gurdjieff calls this conscious servant, the bridge between the higher and the lower worlds, transmitting conscious influence.
We have discussed this before in different modes over the past few years. Okay.
Yeah. And the convergence point is service to a purpose beyond oneself, functioning as a living channel of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing, living channel of transformation. And everybody's coming in late. But that's okay because we're happy to see them. So that is a linear progression of this. But beings as we are, beings as we're Sufis, we like to do things in circles. So let me share something on the screen.
What?
Let me know when you can all see this.
I can see it.
Okay. This is the 6, and it's laid out on an enneagram, and you'll notice that there are 3 question marks on the enneagram.
Would you be up for can you make this expanded? Yeah.
How's that?
Good. Yeah.
That's about as big as I can make it.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. There.
Yeah, that's good.
So what can we learn from this? Come on, some of you guys have been studying Enneagram for a while now. You should know this. For those of you who haven't, I will put a link to our Enneagram playlist at the end of this video so you can learn how this stuff works.
So I'm looking at this, I'm assuming with fana or permanent I and baqa objective consciousness, there's an incoming shock.
No,
But
the shock points are the triangle.
yeah, that's what I mean. So between those two, I'm
Yeah.
seeing the shock point. At that point when so fana, permanent I, how much is that? I don't know, put this, the product of the work, and how much is it grace or inspiration, or is it
It's both. And
it's
it
both
sits in the
at that point,
place
at
of
fana?
most work.
Okay.
This is where
Yep.
point
Yep.
5 on the enneagram is where you do the most work.
Yep. But is the grace at the shock point of the triangle, or is the grace already present when
Grace
you're?
is at the shock point of the
Yeah.
triangle. And
Okay.
the grace is always there. This is
Mm.
where you stop being stupid and accept the grace.
Okay.
You make space for the grace, and that's what gets you through the shock to objective consciousness, to
All right.
subsistence. Now, to figure this out, you have to know what the 3 shock points are. And we know something about the shock points. The one at the top is the entering and exiting shock. The one over here on what would be 3 is the first conscious shock, which is where you use your own intention to get through from seeing the mechanical nature to doing the work. And here, between fana and baqa, you have the second conscious shock, which is I am utterly and completely helpless by myself, but there is divine grace that is here for me if I get my shit shoveled out of the way enough to see it. And you can put whatever words you want there, but that's in order to figure out an enneagram, you need to know what the shock points are. And then everything else just fills in. And what we did at first was go around the circle like this. But this shows us the interconnectedness. So at this point, at the 1 point, you have nafs al-amara, the waking sleep. And you follow this line down here, and it says, realization of this will lead you to objective consciousness if you follow it. And you follow this line down here, and it tells you what you need to do in order to get over here. And that is the conscious labor. That is the struggle. That is the jihad al-akbar, the greatest struggle, which is of the essence against the ego.
I think Ian has a
Ian has a
question.
question.
Yeah, I have no problem following the 3 and the 6, but I always have a problem understanding what the 0 and 9 are about, particularly in this case. I mean, it seems to me that the only logical conclusion for there would be birth and death. But
No.
yeah, I didn't think that was
Yeah,
right.
the 0 shock on this for me is that moment when you realize that everybody around you is asleep, including you. You wake up for a moment, that initial sense of awakening that makes you go, holy crap. And there's any number of ways that can happen. Being children of the 60s, dude, you know what happened to a lot of us back then. We took the funny little blue pill, and the next thing you know, we saw the universe, and maybe 1 out of 1,000 of us followed up on that.
Okay, I get it now.
Good.
Yeah, I had thought, okay, actually, that does make a whole lot of sense. I'd been thinking that was more associated with 3, but it makes sense that there would be an initial one, and that 3 is much more significant in the
Yeah.
your
The
picture.
3 is at 2, you see your own mechanical nature. You are brought face to face to it. You take some ayahuasca and the machine elves come and show you what your brain is really made out of. And either that freaks you out and you do everything you can to go back to sleep, or you make conscious intention to change that. And that's the shock, that conscious intention to change your state. And that gets you to 4, where you are doing the conscious labor, the intentional suffering, the struggle. The struggle is real. That's what that should be called. The struggle is real.
Yeah, that's a great description of it. I really get it now. Thanks.
Yeah. So
Just
does this kind of make sense to everybody?
the diligent, at 3, and the faithful at 6, and the grateful at the point 9. Um, that just knowing that, it organizes it really easily.
Yeah. Until you see the interaction of the shock points, you don't really see the enneagram in its full and total glory or confusedness.
Even I was saying the will, function, and being triad here.
Yeah.
In the point 6, going from the functioning to the being is what that is, as far as I understand it.
Yep. That's pretty much it. By the way, I am totally envious of your Prickly Pear Festival.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
I so long to go to that
Next year.
next year.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then there's the 4 to 5, and as you're just explaining everything, I was just really feeling the 4 to 5, the crossing the point of no return.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think I've made a mistake in my own life is when when you said 5 is the point of most work, I think I've been uh falling into grace too soon, and I can see how it's set me back on the process chain. So this is a very helpful thing for me. Thank you.
Good. All right.
We do have some thoughts in the chat.
Good. I can't see the chat, so tell me what day is.
Okay, RM said, how would we know that? I'm not sure what that was in reference to
How would
RM,
we know what?
but yes.
Oh, when did it become pointer to return to the 4 to the 5, the crossing?
The way you know that you have crossed is that you realize you can't go back. This is one of the great tragedies of human development. I'm going to close this out for the moment
Okay.
so that I can see all of the stuff. And where are we? It becomes point of no return when it's the kitchen enneagram teaches us this. At 4, you are at food prep. You are chopping the vegetables, trimming the meat, doing whatever you're doing. The point between 4 and 5 is where you apply heat. And when you do that, the changes that the heat makes cannot be undone. You cannot uncook your food. This is the metaphor that we use. So
You
there's
can't unbake the cake. You can't
no, you
bake it.
cannot.
Is that helpful, RM? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, once you've hit that, you cannot, it's like you cannot unsee the mountain. The only thing you can do if you don't want to go towards the mountain is to anesthetize yourself. And this is something that happens more often than not. One of the great tragedies of human development is people hit this point and they cross the equator of the enneagram in their process, and then they don't want to go any further. This is how you get fundamentalists. Fundamentalism is a form of self-anesthetization, and it is designed to force you to sleep, give you something that you can focus on and identify with so that you don't have to experience your own being. Because for some people, experiencing your own being is utterly terrifying.
Yep.
And once
Same
they've
thing
done
with
it, they recoil from it. But then it's too late.
same thing with drugs, alcohol, anything that helps you. It's coping, quote unquote, with
Yeah.
these things that are difficult to face head on.
Yeah. Some instances of alcoholism, not all, because alcoholism has such a profound physical aspect to it. Uh, the addictive nature of it is physical, but
Mhm.
it's also psychological in that you can use it to block out all of your higher functions.
Right.
It says what an old buddy of mine used to say, alcohol is an anti-evolutionary drug.
Yeah. And then you have to go through this whole cycle to let that go, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And it gets harder every time that happens.
yes. RM is asking the big questions. How to prevent from becoming a fundamentalist?
Stay awake. Easy answer, hard to do. Also, don't believe anything anybody tells you about God. If you have not experienced it yourself, don't listen to them.
Yeah. We'll tell you that includes us, you know.
Yeah, if you go around believing in us, boy, are you in trouble.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move forward.
Are we ready to move forward?
Yeah, I think so.
So, where do we get this? Ibn Arabi connects the idea of al-Insān al-Kāmil, the complete human, with the Qutb, the pole, in Journey to the Lord of Power.
This is one of his big fancy
Yeah.
books.
Well, it's not
The
that big
small
compared.
fancy
Yeah,
book.
it's a
Yeah.
small, fancy book.
We read it together one year.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to the Futuhat, which is 3,087 pages.
More of a tome.
Yeah, it's like I have it as a PDF in Arabic, and it literally takes 60 seconds for the PDF to load on my computer, and I have a really fast computer. It's that big. But that's neither here nor there.
Anywho,
Uh, he
in this book,
describes how at the higher stages of unveiling, God reveals to the seeker the degrees of the Qutb. He grants them divine wisdom, the ability to preserve and transmit it, and the authority over unveiling. This aligns with Ibn Arabi's wider teaching that the complete human is the complete mirror of divine names. and therefore the axis or pivot around which the cosmos turns, which is precisely the function of a pole. Now, think about this for a moment. Ibn ʿArabi's metaphor for all of this is being the mirror to all of the divine attributes. And while everybody talks about the 99 names, it is actually the infinite names. There are infinite attributes. Now, there's a difference between attribute and essence. So this talks about the theophany, the immanent aspect of the divine as it impinges upon the universe, which is not the divine essence. It can't be. The divine essence is transcendent and is outside the universe and inside the universe because it is the universe or something like that. It's very confusing. So in Futuhat al-Makkiyah, Ibn Arabi elaborates on this idea that the complete man is the ultimate manifestation of divine realities and the cosmic mediator who sustains creation. And the Qutb is that same reality is seen in a cosmological role. So the single individual in each age that holds together the spiritual hierarchy and serves as the channel for divine grace into the world. Now, that's that one guy who has that job who is probably makes Turkish coffee somewhere in Istanbul. And you wouldn't know him if you met him. He's just there doing his thing, but he is providing something to the world. And at the same time, everybody who hits the state of the complete human, the station of the complete human, is like a mirror of that. They aren't the pole. They are a pole in that they reflect the divine reality in their life to everyone around them to a greater or lesser extent. Does that make sense? So here's the thing. God wants you to do that. I know this for a fact because he sent me a note today and saying, tell these people I want them to do this. So there you are. The gauntlet has been thrown down. And the good news is you don't have to follow us to do this. You just have to do it. It's very helpful to have other people who are working on the same thing and people who are a little bit further down the road than you are, but it's not necessary. I mean, the channel that we put these up on has over 5,000 subscribers, most of which we've never heard from. And I'm assuming that they're doing the work in whatever way they're doing it. And they obviously don't need anything in particular. They don't need to come and hang out with us to do it. So you can do it. Of course, if you think you can do it, your ego is going to get in the way and it's going to kill you.
This is the dance.
This is the dance, yes.
If you're thinking, I am going to be the Qutb, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, don't do that. You will be sorry.
Hey, Mushtaq, I have a Nor question is like there's a 10th Oxherding picture within like those Zen traditions, and that the 10th Oxherding picture
Yeah.
is is like the portly sage who like by being just the flowers bloom, you know. Do you see a connection at all, or is there any kind of like harmony in
Oh
those
yeah.
ideas?
It's totally in harmony with this. And these people are not that uncommon if you're awake. I have told people for years about my discovery of one of the hidden saints in Seligman, Arizona, of all places. And I used to take my students there to where he hung out. He had a burger stand in Seligman called Delgadillo Snowcap. And I would have people sit around on the tables. We'd go in and we'd order something and we would get to experience him. And that was fun. But the fun thing was to observe people going in and coming out transformed. And they would come out transformed in many different ways. Some people came out furious. Some people came out with huge smiles on their face. Some people came out with really thoughtful expressions. He is long past, unfortunately, but um, it was a moment. And unless you were like into following old Route 66, you probably never found him.
Just some guy.
Just some guy, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
flipping burgers.
I know in some traditions it is said that there is one, right? There's one pole of the age.
Yeah, and that's the cosmic hierarchy stuff, and that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
There can be the one, the Qutb al-Zaman, the one pole of the age, and he's doing his thing.
Mhm.
And like I said, that's none of our business. You got the pole, you've got the Abdals, you got I forget the names of all of the hierarchy as it goes down from him. And people disagree on what the hierarchy is. And
It doesn't matter. Just do the work. Just wake up. Just complete yourself. The
yeah,
rest will take care of itself.
and as James notes, the best of men are hidden, the world's upon their shoulders.
Aw,
Yeah,
it's James. Yes. So we have some thoughts in the chats.
good.
Todd, I will get to that. I like that one. James says entering the marketplace with bliss bestowing hands. Is that like a
Was that the 10th Oxherding picture? I think I picked it up in relation to the Oxherding pictures. No?
Could be. It's been a long time since I've even looked at one of those, so I'm not going to hazard a guess. Somebody will make a comment in the comments that'll tell us how it is and usually why we were wrong to talk about it the way we're talking about it, but that's okay.
Oh.
Yeah, people can spend their energy how they want to. Jermaine says a Zen figure if there ever was one. Yes, in relation to the burger flipping guy.
Yep.
Definitely. All right. Jermaine says, oh, yeah, this was in relation to something
Yeah.
Jermaine added. This discussion reminds me of Chauncey the gardener in the Peter Sellers movie Being There. Is the advice to be there?
Probably. That's a good sort of thing because to me it was obvious that Chauncey was some sort of very high saint. Uh, he was a madzub, which literally means a crazy person. Uh,
And it was sort of interesting the way that everyone sort of projected
yeah,
or he reflected either way, what they would get from him. So,
yeah.
Yes.
He was a very pure being in the movie without knowing anything other than he liked to watch TV.
So I can see why you're saying, this Chauncey is a Zen figure if there ever
Yeah.
was one. Yeah. Cool. Got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, we don't forget Todd's comment up.
I'm not I was just saving it. Todd reminds us, you can teach yourself to be a witch, but both the teacher and the student have to be the right person. Quoting Sir Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, and God, that's the truth.
Yep.
Ian has something to say.
Yes, sorry, Ian. Yes, go for it.
No, it's fine. I've got three things. One is a question and two are comments. Um, the question is, I remember hearing about al-Qidr,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wondering if that is the same as the Qutb that you're talking about.
Actually, no. Al-Khidr is um, this immortal being that is around when he needs to be and hidden when he doesn't, but he seems to exist more outside of time. And
Okay.
everybody thinks they know about him. And as far as I can tell, nobody does, including us.
So he's really outside these models.
Yeah, he's outside these models. And being eternal in some sense, he doesn't need to be replaced. And the Qutb lives a normal lifetime. And then you get a new one.
Which is much more believable.
Yeah.
Okay. The
Good.
two comments.
Yeah.
One was I was thinking about this when you first started talking about the Qutb and the fact that he'd say you were stupid if you thought he was. And I was what I was thinking is you'd be really stupid if you thought I was the Qutb. And of course that doesn't mean that I am, because I really don't think that. The third one is when you mentioned briefly the Lord of Journey to the Lord of Power, because I hadn't realized that was from Ibn Arabi. But way back when, this was almost certainly in the late 80s, I was visiting back in England and ended up going to a birthday party from one of my, what you would call high school friends. And there was a girl there who was in the same class as us. And I felt something from her that made me convinced that she knew a lot more than you would normally know. And at first she kind of denied it, but I pressed her on it, and she recommended to me that I read The Lord of Power. And I got a copy and really couldn't get into it. But I had never paid attention to who the author was, had no idea. But it's interesting to find that, yeah, Ibn Arabi. I wish I knew what she was doing now or where she got her knowledge from. It might even have been from the guy who wrote Bennett. It would be quite possible.
Yeah, Bennett used to
Well,
talk about Ibn Arabi, and that would not surprise me.
The world is so small
Yep.
sometimes.
okay, that was all.
Good anecdote. Thank you.
I'm going to read you um, a couple of selections from the Futuhat, just because they're interesting. And I'm not going to bother with the Arabic because my pronunciation is imperfect.
I don't, I don't think mine would be any better. So
Yep. And since Osama and Wael are not here, you're just going to get the English. So,
what do we
Arabi
got?
says, the human being is the place where all realities are gathered, divine, cosmic, spiritual, and natural. So he is truly the vice regent of God, and is the and this is the complete human. And he is the pole around which existence turns. And were it not for him, the world would collapse. He goes on to say, just as the intellect was singled out for informing, so too the pole was singled out for appointment among individuals. And then he says, and if you do not stop at this, he unveils to you the degree of the pole. That means if you don't stop your work, all that you have witnessed before was from the world on the left hand, not the world on the right hand. And this is the station of the heart, where the world is unveiled to you. You know the reflections, the endlessness of endlessnesses, the eternities of eternities, the ordering of existence, how existence flows into them. He he grants you divine wisdoms and the power to preserve them and protection to transmit them to the wise. And he grants you the power of the symbols and the vision of the whole and the authority over the veil and the unveiling. And Ibn Arabi both tells you this to inform you and to trap the ignorant. How does this trap the ignorant?
We've been talking about that in little bits.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Mert, you know the answer to this.
No, I don't.
Maybe you just don't know that you know.
Maybe.
How is this a trap for the ignorant?
I think you would need to read it again for me to be able to follow enough to understand the question.
I will do that. And if you do not stop at this, meaning if you don't stop on your path on the work, he unveils to you the degrees of the pole. All that you witnessed before was from the world of the left hand, not from the world of the right hand.
So
And
what
this
does that mean? Left
the
and right?
world of the left hand is, oh God, the world of phenomenal reality, let's
Mm,
say. And the world of the right hand is the world of spiritual states.
mm.
And the station of the heart is in between the two of them.
Yeah, okay.
When this world is unveiled to you, you know the reflections, the endlessness of endlessnesses, the eternities of eternities, the ordering of existence and how existence flows into them. He grants you the divine wisdoms and the powers to preserve them and protection to transmit them to the wise. He grants you the power of symbols and the vision of the whole and the authority over the veil and the unveiling. Todd.
There we go. This reminds me of one of Sheikh Tanner's Sobet's long ago, where he was talking about Kabbalah, where the right hand was the right hand was the open and expansive one. The left hand was the restrictive and conditioning one, and that knowledge and wisdom were between them.
That sounds about right.
It fits. Thank you, Todd. So how is this a trap? Sharing this.
Yeah, I can't answer that, but when the way you were describing the endlessness of endlessnesses reminded me of the concept of Indra's jewels.
Indra's net too? Yeah.
Indra's net, yeah.
Indrajala.
Mhm.
Okay, come on, y'all are smart. How is this a trap? I'm not going to tell you the secrets until you get this part figured out.
Oh dear, I guess we're all dummies tonight.
I have a guess.
Give me a guess.
Is that because in order to pass through, you need to destroy part of the ego, and it's a trap for that part of yourself?
Right in one. Give the man a cigar, not a tobacco cigar, but a cigar. This is a trap for the ego. That's exactly what it is. You read this and you go, oh my God, I have all of this. And the moment you do that, your ego is sucked into it and you think you're special. And until you make yourself no one, you cannot face this particular challenge. Does that make sense?
Well, I was going to say ego inflation, so basically the same thing as Amelia just said. And making yourself no one. That just reminded me of how I think in the traditional Zen monasteries, when you had Kensho and it was a big one, they'd immediately start to take you down a peg. Okay, you've had a great insight. Now go and pull the turnips up out of the ground for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that's what, yeah, some inflation. Your ego grabs this transpersonal stuff and use it to try and bolster its own sense of individual self. It appropriates it.
Yep.
Or is that? Yep.
And
That's
the
about
risk.
right.
And this also sounds like Gurdjieff's realization of one's nothingness that
Yep.
you have to experience.
Yeah. And if you are not in the midst of that experience when you hit this, you're lost.
At best, you'll have to back up and break things down and start over.
And that sucks. So when you hear all of these wonderful experiences and powers, realize it's a trap for the ego.
So is it like having a certain quality of personal self-knowledge beforehand, both your own personal potentials for inflation and your general condition as nothing, as mechanical, whatever you want to put it, getting that established first before entering into that reality, that insight first before the big insights.
Well,
Is that
if what Ibn Arabi says is true, and I suspect that it is, the job of each of us is to polish the mirror so that we can reflect the divine reality. We are not the divine reality. We are set up to be its reflection. And the moment you think, oh, I'm the divine reality, looky here, I got all of this wisdom and stuff, then you are not reflecting the divine reality. You are merely smearing the shit of your ego on the mirror that is supposed to reflect God.
Well, this makes me think of the whole New Age movement, which was how to bolster your ego and replace your self-image with something cool and dramatic and mythic.
Yeah. And look where that's got us.
Yeah.
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 I mean, you're not off base, and I think that it's not always meant to be so superficial, but unless people are willing to, I think we were talking about this the other day, to walk through discomfort, to process that in such a way that it doesn't just lead to more comfort and self-soothing
Yeah.
and, affirmations of the same old shit, they're never going to get further than that.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the phrases I grew to loathe was, I haven't decided for me what is real yet. And it came up a lot, probably 20 years ago now. It was just,
Jeez.
there was some doco on Australian New Age movement, and there's some guy explaining how if he drinks his own piss, he'll live forever. And he asked his girlfriend what she thinks about it, and her response is, I haven't decided what is real for me yet.
Okay.
And it just,
Yeah, this is where we
Yeah,
take that and bring it
that is
upside
a
down and
human
then shake
being
it
that is totally lost.
up.
Yeah, that is assuming that you have something to say about the real. And, New Age bullshit aside, the real is the real, and you're not. As Sheikh Tanner used to say, remember, Allah is God, and you are not.
how they ever conflated the Western fantasy of the all-controlling ego with the Eastern idea that the ego is of no substance at best and derogatory. I don't know, that weird mix.
Yeah, it's two ways of keeping people asleep.
Mm.
The entirety of human culture, since we have started writing things down, basically is about how do we keep everybody asleep? How do we give them fantasies that work for continued somnambulism?
Or here's what sucks. It could be just like what Ibn Arabi is saying, where he's offering, like, here's what's up. And then you take it and run with it in whatever direction you're gonna run with it, for good or ill. And you've taken the truth and warped it to fit your own assumptions, your own egoic convictions, such as they are. I mean, Gurdjieff would say they're not convictions, it's all just roboticism all the way down. But
Yeah, but a lot of programs are convinced that they're real.
exactly.
Ask my computer down here.
So at the end of the day, we've covered, we often talk about Gurdjieff, and this was a step back into Ibn Arabi as well, to bring in the perspective that he has to offer, which Mushtaq and I certainly find useful, helpful, meaningful. And we hope that you all find something in there as well, especially since we have had this opportunity to go through these different stages and see where there is a sense of convergence between these two models. And for our purposes, I think that's extremely useful. It allows us to reach a common goal through seemingly different and diversified means that really just end us up in a very similar place that has a lot of
Yeah. And it tells us what to do to get through that place.
yes. Yeah.
And that is very simple. The instructions are simple indeed, not easy, but simple.
Mhm.
And they are this: observe yourself, see your own mechanical nature, take note of it every time it comes up. Remember yourself, struggle against your mechanical nature, and do everything you can to stay conscious.
This
First
is,
two things.
yeah, that's polishing the mirror is another way this is described. It's the same thing. Polishing the mirror to reflect the real.
And remember the divine reality, always and everywhere. This is dhikr. It's not chanting the names, it's literally remembering. If you get those 3 steps down, come and see us and we'll tell you what the fourth one is. Is there a fourth one? Maybe. All right, what y'all think?
Yes, Brian.
Hey, Nor, you mentioned convergence, and it's always nice to hear different people and different traditions from different parts of the world during different time periods saying, very similar things.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
the message is the same everywhere that you encounter the truth.
Yes, James.
The message is the same everywhere, but I think we're going through a period where it's particularly relevant, not that it's ever irrelevant, in that the trance states have been sort of pushed to their limits. The strategy of sleep and reinforcing sleep is kind of being pushed to its limit. I'm sure that's happened plenty of times before in culture.
Oh, it happens. It's cyclical. And the
Yeah.
sad thing is that it's not reached its limit yet. History tells us this. It can get a lot worse than what we're experiencing now.
Fun thoughts.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just reminded of when Gurdjieff in Ouspensky talks about these kinds of times as being when people throw away the knowledge they have. So it's a good time for people who are awake to be able to collect it. It's difficult for me to understand what he exactly meant by that, but it seems to be something to think about.
As is true for so much of what Gurdjieff said. Not to mention Ibn ʿArabi while we're at it.
Yeah, 2 of the most obtuse spiritual teachers in the history of humankind, Ibn ʿArabi and G.I. Gurdjieff.
Mm.
But yeah, we are at a 0.5 on the Enneagram, and we are either going to fail or succeed. And it behooves us, each and every one of us, to be as awake as we can and to pay attention to the truth.
Yep. So I figure I'll check in with people once more.
Check in with people, Nor.
Yeah. Shuri, do you have any thoughts? Anything coming up for you?
Yeah, because exactly what Mushtaq said about being at point 5, that's where I feel like I am. And I was thinking, what does this experience feel like? And it's like you're swimming, but you're currently under the water and you're struggling to get to the surface. And at the surface, it's like that's where you're striving for. But underneath, there's all the people that you've grown up with, your family, the friends, the church, the everything that's trying to drag you back down away from the truth. And in that struggle, you can feel like giving up, but actually just remembering that the divine is with me, and that polishing the mirror and everything that I'm doing, every action that I'm taking. And last week you talked about love at the end of that talk. And I thought every action that I'm doing is not only love for myself and love for my family, but it's that you're reflecting the divine, you're reflecting God. And that actually gives me hope and sustains me in that crossing the equator, so that I don't slip back and go back to sleep. I have to stay awake because there's a bit of sorrow knowing that those around me are so asleep, and I can't make them wake up. I can't make them see um, something that I've had a glimpse of. And I think that's the hardest thing that you carry into your journey, that there are those that you want to bring with you, but maybe it's just not their time.
Yeah, it's the ultimate tragedy in a certain way when you realize that the people who have been around you, who you care about, who you grew up with, who you have had relationship with, just ain't coming along, and the caravan is leaving, and they're going to be left on top of the mountain. I love that metaphor.
That's what it feels like. And so I feel like, okay, this talk really hit home today, but I have to keep going. I have to stay the distance. I have to stay the distance, and I cannot even help them. Um, they're struggling that I'm going on a different tangent to them. So they think that I'm going straight to hell. So I'm thinking, oh my God, how can I say that's not true? How can I actually convince them that it's okay? But that's just what it is.
Yeah. And you can't convince them. Not only
No,
can you not convince them, but it's not your job.
no. But every action I have to continue, because I was thinking about the persistence of continually doing right action, making the right choices, being awake about that, not doing it on automatic. It's not automatic. If we're trying to wake up, it isn't
Yeah.
automatic.
Yeah. And I know you're gonna tough it out with them. You're not abandoning those relationships per se, but it's definitely a struggle of the heart to be resilient in the face of people telling you such hurtful things that make it clear that you are on separate journeys over and over again.
Mm. But I
That's
take that the divine isn't separated from me.
right.
No. And there's an old saying, practice your religion in such a way that people can see it without words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all any of us can do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because I was thinking about, don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing, whatever action that you're taking, whatever you're giving, you're doing, whatever help you're giving, you just do. Just do, keep moving, keep doing, repeat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for Shri.
Yeah.
Thank you that
And it's hard.
yeah,
And we know that it's hard.
definitely.
Because we all have the bruises on our forehead from pounding our head on the wall.
Yep. Whether about ourselves or other people, there's heartache there, just like, why is this so hard? Yeah. Ah,
So let's
Jermaine,
address Jermaine's
Jermaine.
question and then get on to RM's.
Oh, okay.
And,
So,
and we want to hear what Mert has to say. We
Oh
want to
yeah,
hear what
Mert.
Mert has to say.
Mark.
Mert, where are you?
But
Yeah, we just want to hear what you have to say, Mert.
why me? Why not Jermaine? Why not you?
Are we picking up
Well,
Mark?
you always
I talk
got
a lot,
some
Mert.
goodies
You
for
can go
us.
ahead.
You always got some goodies. Or Mert, the other thing that you're really great, you ask great questions. I really
Thank,
love the questions you ask. Anyway.
thank you. But I don't have much to say. Only thing I know is that this polishing the mirror process is very, very hard and requires a lot of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's good enough. So let's hear from Jermaine.
Yeah. Thanks for your patience, Jermaine.
Yes.
Oh, no problem. I mean, I can talk all day if you guys let me. So, but I just wanted to address something Shuri was talking about, the frustration that can come from sort of doing the work and having the people around you not be very interested, you know, and that's very frustrating. And I've been having similar problems, probably my whole life, but, recently. And the way that I think helps, something that helps me is to think about it in terms of, um, in a way, it's almost like I've had the opportunity to do the work, even though it doesn't necessarily always feel like an opportunity. Sometimes, you know, when you get a shock, it feels like a punishment. But in other ways, it's like, well, you know, I'm doing this because they can't. Almost not in a restrictive sense, like I'm better than them, but they're not in a space wherever they are that they're able, you know, to to undertake this. And as frustrating as it can be, I sort of find that, well, I can be grateful in that I do have this space, whether emotionally or mentally or whatever, even physically, to do this work, and because it doesn't always feel that way, because I had a big, you know physical challenge, medical challenge in the last couple of years that have kind of put me in a situation that I think of as being very difficult. But that the difficulty of that situation actually did help me kind of, move in a direction that people around me who didn't have that challenge didn't have. So I don't know if that helps at all to think about it that way, but that's kind of how I'm trying to think of it that way. Well, you know, they're not there, so that I can be. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think
Thank you
that's
for
quite
sharing
well
that,
said.
Jermaine. Yeah.
So where are we? We have
Because that's a darker side of Gurdjieff, the sort of necessity of sleep for
Right.
yeah.
for a large portion of humanity, for other things to happen.
Yeah.
Everyone can't do it. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm the eternal optimist, so I think that everybody can do it, but the circumstances have never been arranged so that that is likely.
Yeah.
But I'm an optimist.
Speaks to what Jermaine is saying about
Yeah.
like carrying the torch in a sense for the ones that we love and keeping that door open. All right.
RM
We
has a message here.
yeah, and then we have some
Then we have Michael has messages.
yeah. Okay. RM says, are our personas a form of hypocrisy? Because while working, we still have a persona. How do we integrate our persona and working internally? It's like a split personality.
Okay, and that's simple. Um, Are your shoes a form of hypocrisy because you have not developed calluses on your feet? Are your fingernails a form of hypocrisy? There's a difference between having a persona that you use and thinking that you are that persona.
Mm-hmm.
It's the is of identity.
Yeah.
I am not my persona. My persona is, or my several personas are tools that I make that I use to operate in the world more or less comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't identify those personas as me. That would be dumb.
We have done some talks about this, discussing the persona as a way of functioning in the world that need not be in opposition to our spiritual work, waking up work.
Yeah. You
In
need your
fact,
personas. Just don't think
yeah.
like your shoes. Don't think that I am my shoes. Don't think that I am my persona, and you're fine.
Yes, this is what I tell all of our artsy types is like, I know that you want to dress up. I know that you want to perform. The challenge for us is just to know that it is a performance, that it is a costume, to recognize that.
And then enjoy the hell out of yourself.
Exactly. Yes, in a way that is in alignment with your values. So, there you go. She was saying as an example, e.g., God is love, and I am polishing myself so that it can be fully reflected, but I'm still polishing, so mirror is not fully clean. But yeah, okay. So it's not that there are degrees so much as it's a process.
Yeah.
There's a nuance there. Okay, so Brother Michael says, in my experience, step 10, 11, and 12 keep me awake. I think we're referring again to the
12-step program.
AA 12-step program.
Michael, you may want to say what those steps are for people who don't have any clue.
Yeah, some people are
Yeah, because the trouble with anonymous is that it's anonymous.
We do have friends of ours here, not here actively, but
Yeah.
people who have experience with it and have had a lot of benefit from it. So hold that we will come back to it if you just want to give us a snippet for the
He says in step 10, I stay honest with myself and clear away the debris that build up. In step 11, I seek God through prayer and meditation, keeping conscious contact alive. And in step 12, I stay awake by serving others. So, yeah.
You've already named them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Stay awake by serving others, carrying the message, and practicing these principles in all of my affairs. I mean,
yeah.
Hell
and
yeah.
The program is kind of built on that idea of you help each other out.
Yeah. Is it, is it a framework for everyone? No. But for the people it works for, it really works for them. And we certainly support that. James says, it's not my job to wake anyone up per se, but to perform the ethical actions that wakefulness assists me in. I think I would agree with that. But if someone is looking for the work, then I can discuss it directly. Yeah, I mean, as with any of these things, we are not here to proselytize so much as speak to each other who have come. We all have come here to discuss this.
Yeah, and I hope everybody notices that everybody here has valid experience in this from a bunch of different perspectives.
Yes. And
the perspectives are all valid.
Yes. Okay, so RM confirms that performance in alignment with values makes sense. Brother Michael says, sorry about not including context in that there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
your foundation being 12 step.
apologize for it all.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week. Maybe you were the one that mentioned it, Michael, but certainly you got props for whoever mentioned that, got props for saying, oh, what we're talking about reminds me of 12-step based programs. There is something to be said about that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a perfectly valid foundation to come at this work from.
Yeah, we all forget. I mean, I have the habit of start throwing Arabic words out when I'm talking about and trying to explain stuff to people who have never tasted Arabic in their life, and it's embarrassing when I realize it.
Yeah, we
They
try
don't.
to work as a team to make it make sense.
Yeah, and you got the shorthand. You can say step 10 and everybody knows what you're talking about who has been in it. But yeah, please do not feel as if what we said was in any way, means, or form criticism, because it ain't.
Nope. Cool. All
All
right.
right.
Any last thoughts? We are, I think it is time to about wrap up. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Does anyone have any last things they want to add?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael says, in AA, I can't get anyone drunk and I can't get anyone sober.
Mhm.
All I can do is share my experience, strength, and hope and live the principles so that God does the work. Sounds like a Sufi.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Another fruitful discussion with lots of varying perspectives that, again, all kind of converge around the same ideas since we all have a similar drive. We've used that word previously, a drive to continue this work and to share it together and to be of some service to the world at large, God willing. So, thank you to you all. Are we on Brady Bunch mode yet?
We will be in half a second. There we are.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll be together again. And oh, Todd, I see you unmuted. Did you have something you wanted to share? Okay.
No, is that
Yeah, all good. Okay. Um, we can wave to each other, wave to everybody watching on the replay. We will see you here again next week. Bye.
Take care, folks.